actually unmute everybody right now, and I want to see if everybody, I want to make sure everybody can hear us. So I'm going to hit unmute all. Everybody's unmuted. Can everybody hear us okay?
Yes.
All right.
Yep, we're on.
Great. I'm going to go ahead and hit mute all, and I'm going to unmute a couple people. But guys, we're going to get started here in a couple minutes. So bear with us, and I'm just going to mute everybody so we don't get a lot of feedback, okay?
Okay.
All right. All right, Gary, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, so we're the only ones unmuted, so that'll work a lot better so we don't get a lot of feedback. Guys, if you're just joining us, everybody's on mute, but we're going to go ahead and get started here in a couple minutes. It's just about a few minutes here. So get a notepad and paper and take some notes. Guys, we're going to get in depth on the science behind the endocannabinoid system. And we got a real treat tonight with Dr. Gettelfinger. So get a notepad and pen or paper and take some notes. And we're going to probably have a little time for some questions and answers at the end. And it may have to be typed in. We're going to kind of play it by ear here. But we're going to get started in just a few minutes, you guys. So go ahead and get a notepad, and we're going to get started here in just a couple minutes. Guys, if you're just joining us, thanks for coming on the webinar. We're going to get started in a couple minutes here. Grab a notepad and pen and take some notes. It's going to be a great webinar call here tonight. You're going to learn a ton. And thanks for joining us. We're going to get started here in about 2 minutes, okay? You guys are just joining us. Thanks for joining us. We're going to get started here shortly. And grab a notepad and pen and paper. And we're going to get started here in just a minute, you guys. Got a great treat here tonight. You're going to learn about the endocannabinoid system and the science behind it. We're going to talk also about a company that's called Zelease that we're super excited to share with you as well. So we'll get started here in about 60 seconds. Just so you know, everybody is on mute, except Dr. Gettelfinger and myself, so we don't get a lot of feedback. But again, thanks for joining us. We're going to get started here in just a moment.
How many can you see on there, Preston?
Let me see here. Kind of hard to control. Okay. There are 33.
Okay.
Guys, just so you know, everybody is on mute, but we're glad to have you here tonight. We're going to get started here in about 30 seconds. So grab a pen and a notepad, take some notes. We're going to get into the science behind the endocannabinoid system, as well as tell my story, as well as Dr. Gettelfinger's story, and about a company that we're super excited about that's actually changed my life and Dr. Gettelfinger's life. And we're excited to tell you about this company called Zelease as well. So we are going to get started here. All right, Gary, I'm going to get started. Hey, thank you, everybody. Welcome to this webinar tonight. And 1 second, before we get started, people have asked me to record it. So let me see if I can record it here, Gary.
Okay.
Let's bear with me here. I always forget to do that. All right, record. Okay. All right, I think we're recording. All right, thanks everybody for joining us on this webinar tonight. You are in for a treat. We have Dr. Gary Gettelfinger on the webinar tonight. He is just excited to talk about the endocannabinoid system and the science behind it. My name is Preston Aguilar, and I am a physician assistant by trade of 20 years in the ER, and recently retired from Western medicine because of what I'm seeing here with really with hemp CBD and also this opportunity. So we're going to get started here in just a minute, but I just want to tell a little bit of my story about the path that my life has been led on because of hemp CBD, you guys. Again, like I said, my name is Preston Aguilar. I live in Carmel, Indiana, and married to my beautiful wife and 3 teenage boys, and have been in Western medicine as a PA for 20 years in the ER. But a story that really changed the trajectory of my life is a very personal story, and some of you have heard this, but some of you had not. It's really about my mom. And my mom, unfortunately, suffers from multiple sclerosis, suffers from arthritis, some hypothyroidism, but more debilitating has been her early Alzheimer's. And she's only 67 years old, but it has become so debilitating, you guys, that she's not been able to function. And so she has a terrible anxiety, a panic component with it. And it got to the point where my dad was literally having to take care of my mom 24 hours a day. And the problem is my dad works full time and he owns a business. And so he was having to take my mom to work with him. He could not leave my mom alone. So guys, this was back in June. And I flew out to Arizona with my siblings to meet with a home health care company to really come up with a plan to get my parents some help because they needed it. And, we met with the home health care company and trying to figure out how much we could afford and they could afford and just trying to come up with a plan for help for them. And guys, I took a bottle of hemp CBD oil out there with me, and my mom had a doctor's appointment, and I showed it to her doctor, and he said to my mom, I absolutely want you to take this for a month. And she was very, very reluctant because she's one of those people that literally reacts to everything. She has side effects from everything. She's tried MS drugs. She's tried Alzheimer's drugs, pain medicine, depression medicine. The side effects always outweighed the benefits. And so literally all she was on was her Synthroid, Aleve, and Tylenol. Suffering, not functioning, not sleeping, terrible anxiety. And so she was very, very reluctant, you guys. But she agreed to take it. This was a Monday night. I remember sitting in their kitchen. I gave her one dose. She went to bed, and I flew out early Tuesday morning, so I didn't get to see her. And I called my dad on Thursday, and I called him at work because they're always together because he couldn't leave her alone. And I said, hey, Dad, how's Mom doing? And he said, Preston, let me just tell you something. He said, Tuesday was an amazing day. And I said, what? He said, your mom's pain, her fear, her anxiety, he said, it's all gone. I said, what? So you've got to be kidding me. He said, nope. As a matter of fact, she's at home right now by herself and I'm at work. I said, you've got to be kidding me. You guys, he works 20 miles away. He had not been able to do that for over 6 months. I couldn't believe it. I was just there. So I called my mom at home and I said, hey, Mom, how you doing? And she said, Preston, your dad's had this look on his face for a long time, like he's just trying to help me, but he just can't help me. She said, your dad does not have that look on his face anymore. And I thought, wow, guys, I could not believe it. Literally, when I say my mom was not functioning, literally driving in a car with my mom, it was not tolerable. She couldn't understand space and time, and she was horrible panic and anxiety, just not functioning, not sleeping. You guys, I was just there, and literally this happened overnight. So I couldn't hardly believe it. Now, I had been seeing lives changed here in Indiana before that. I saw my wife get off Ambien. She'd been on it for 6 years for sleep, could not get off of it. I saw her in 3 days get off of Ambien. I was blown away. I've seen her struggle with that for years. I saw people with fibromyalgia, arthritis, migraines, seizures, tremors, anxiety, depression, pain of all kinds, ADHD. I've seen lives change every single day here in Indiana. But guys, when it's your parents, it's completely different. And that's what it was for me. And so that changed me, the trajectory of my life at that point. And I thought, how does this work in the body? What is the science behind this? Like, how can this literally like being like a flipping on a light switch for my mom? You guys, in Western medicine, in 20 years, I've never seen anything like that. Nothing I've ever seen has been like that. And so I thought, what is the science behind that? So I'm excited to tell you guys, there is a lot of science behind this. There's a lot of research done behind this. So we have a very special treat with Dr. Gary Gettelfinger tonight to go into the science. Guys, I wanted to share my story. Here's how it's going to work. I just introduced, like I said, my story and myself. I'm going to have Dr. Gettelfinger talk about in depth on the science behind the endocannabinoid system and why CBD works so well on the body. And then at the end, guys, we're going to talk briefly about a company called Zalise that has really changed our lives, and we're seeing it change so many lives. And that's who has this product, and that's who we get to share it through. So at the end, we're going to talk a little bit about that company. So you guys can listen to the whole webinar, or you can get off whenever you want, but we're excited to be here. So Dr. Gettelfinger, he attended Indiana University for his undergrad in chemistry and med school, and he did his residency at Indiana University, Indianapolis, and he specialized in cardiovascular anesthesis. He joined the Navy to pay off his med school loans, and he found the need for pain procedures when he was in Okinawa, Japan, and he started a pain clinic there. He continued it at Camp Pendleton, California, and then became a board-certified pain medicine in 2000 by the American Board of Pain Medicine. He's been working in Bloomington Hospital for 23 years in the operating room and the IU Health Pain Center. Guys, what I love about Dr. Gettelfinger, he brings a vast array of experience to this, because he's shared this with over 350 of his patients. And so he's going to talk about the science behind the endocannabinoid system. So Dr. Gettelfinger, can you hear me okay?
Yep, I got you, Preston.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and I think we've got some people unmuted. So 1 second here, Gary.
Yep.
See if we can.
Snuck in unmuted.
Yeah, let's see. We're going to mute all. And I'm going to unmute you. 1 second, you guys. And all right, I think we're good. And go for it, Gary.
Okay. Thank you, Preston.
Thank you.
So I always love hearing Preston's story because it just kind of gives me cold chills. The cool thing is as Preston said, I'm trying to get that to go to the next slide. Preston's not doing it.
Let me hear. Maybe I got to put you on remote again here, Gary. 1 second here. Remote control here. All right. And it should be, try it now. Go ahead.
Okay.
Is that working?
No. So you work on that and I'll talk.
Yep. Go ahead.
So I love hearing Preston's story about his mom because I've treated probably about 350 patients now since August, and I'm hearing some of the same stories. That is an amazing one, and I've got some amazing ones of my own, which actually got me in the newspaper back in October because there was a journalist here in Bloomington that was doing research and talking about narcotics abuse and misuse and what's in the community and why we give narcotics and what other options there were. And he found me using the endocannabinoids, CBD, hemp extract, whatever you want to call it, which we'll get more specifics here in a second. He found me using that, and we featured a couple of my patients that weren't getting out of bed and weren't functioning and weren't driving and weren't having a life. That article was back in October, if somebody would want to look at that in Herald Times. So just a quick outline here. We're going to talk about the history research of cannabis, structure, function of the endocannabinoid system, cannabinoid deficiencies, and then a little bit about hormone replacement therapy, not too much about that. Pretty interesting, this slide, way we have come, like Preston was saying, in Western medicine, some of the crazy drugs we use, if you tried to get them approved today, there'd be no chance you could probably get them through the FDA by all the side effects. And yet marijuana we classify as a Schedule I drug, which means it has no medical use, which we're definitely finding, and that's going to change, I hope, before too long. I don't totally agree with medical marijuana, and I'll explain why here in a little bit. But let's go ahead and get started. So this slide is up here, and I want to thank Matt Andry, my buddy and friend and colleague, who's done incredible work with science of the CBD and endocannabinoid system and bringing everything together has been hugely valuable to me. And I want to thank him. And I'd say that because these are his slides. And also Dr. Weidenbender. We've been 3 colleagues kind of going through this course together. It's been pretty cool. But anyway, this slide basically is put in here just to show that when you step out on the fringe, sometimes people are going to throw eggs at you. And we've definitely seen that. And last week we had an incredible new achievement where CBD in the state of Indiana, which is one of the most conservative states in Indiana, actually got approved through the House and the Senate for any medical condition, not just for seizures in kids. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. So what about marijuana? What about hemp? What about cannabis? So the history is it's been around forever, basically, since Jesus walked on the earth. Medicinally, we've known it's been valuable for 6,000 years. And I've heard more than one person that's present the hemp industry and the hemp science say that if there's one plant you could live on and none others in the world, it would be hemp. It has proteins in it, has vitamins, it has minerals, has all kinds of good stuff. Grows pretty easily too, which is a good thing. And we found out if we take the hemp out of it, there's some incredible medical value to that. It's not something that's brand new and has been known about for a long time. A little company right here in Indiana, Eli Lilly, back in 1913, you can see that, actually had their own cannabis product. And we would have a lot more research and a lot more advancement in the cannabis industry and the hemp industry if it wouldn't be for politics. And what I mean by that is, if you see this last line here, it says only witnesses opposed the bill to hearings for the 1937 Marijuana Act. And that was a physician. He was the head of the AMA. And he said, look, guys, there is value to marijuana, hemp, both of them. But politics and the political structure as it was got it shot down because the Hearst family, who ran all the newspapers, wanted to use wood, so wood products, pulp. And then I believe DuPont wanted to use their chemicals a lot more. So the powerful people in charge at that point said marijuana is bad, shouldn't be allowed, and just kind of blew the cannabis off now. So this has been something that's been around for a long time. It's just it's not been advanced in the United States because of circling around the marijuana plant, which again, we'll talk about some more here in a second. So what are endocannabinoids and why do we call them that? So we found out back in the early 70s that we have receptors in our body that look for our endocannabinoids because we make 2 of them, 2-AG and anandamide. And we found out that the cannabis plant actually has molecules in it that are very similar, carbon chain molecules. And so we call ours the endocannabinoids because they're endogenous to us, the 2-AG and the anandamide, which I'm going to talk about more in a minute. And we call the phytocannabinoids the products that come out of the marijuana hemp plant, THC, CBD, CBN, which we'll explain here a little bit more. So if you look at what's available as far as the phytocannabinoids, CBD makes up a lot of what comes out of the hemp plant with very little THC, which is cool. THC is a real problem in Indiana. If you have THC of greater than 0.3%, you're in trouble. You can't have a product that way. And that's why we've been in trouble recently trying to get the CBD to pass through. If you look at this wheel, about 3/4 of it has CBD and the other quarter has THC in it. You can see the delta-9 THC reduces nausea and vomiting, relieves pain, stimulates appetite, suppresses muscle spasm. That's the one that also makes you high. And that's the one that's had all the problems in society and the legal problems with it. From a medical standpoint, it does reduce nausea and vomiting. I've used it in my patients. There's a Marinol, which is produced by the drug companies, is a drug I've used for a long time to reduce nausea and vomiting in some of my cancer patients. And some patients have a lot of abdominal pain. Helps stimulate appetite. Fortunately, the stuff we have decreases appetite, which I'll explain in a minute. The delta-9 THC, though, really doesn't have as much medical benefit to it as it does social problems and political problems. But if you look at the CBD here in the bottle that Preston's going to tell us more about here in a bit, it's got more than one CBD. There's 5 different CBDs, and there's a bunch of other good things, which we'll talk about. But if you look under the CBD, the antibacterial, inhibits cancer cell growth, neuroprotective, all these things that you can read here in front of you are pretty amazing and pretty cool, and starts to make you think that maybe this is just a snake oil because it provides so much opportunity for so many different systems in the body. not true. The antibacterial is kind of cool. My friend, Dr. Weidenbender, had a woman that had bad psoriasis on her feet. He gave it to her for neck pain, and she came back 2 weeks later and all psoriasis was gone. So you can see the second to last line there says treat psoriasis and antibacterial, and it actually decreases inflammation. So, it's probably working all three together, and along with the immune system, and reduces the function of the immune system and increases function of the immune system. What we mean by that is decreases function would be like if you have an overzealous immune system, like you have in rheumatoid arthritis or scleroderma or lupus, those type of illnesses. But this inhibits cancer cell growth is pretty cool. I've got a mother-in-law who has ovarian cancer. She'll be 80 this year. She's had a couple of surgeries. They've done a lot of chemo on her. They've basically given up and just watching her cells grow. I gave this to her in August because she didn't sleep well. And the first night she took it, she thought she died and went to heaven because it's the first time she's ever seen the sun come up in the morning. She's usually awake every half hour to 2 hours at nighttime and then sleeps through the sun in the morning. But what was really cool is about 2 months after she was on this, she went to have her labs done, and they do a CA 125 for ovarian cancer, and hers was down by 15 points. And her oncologist said, "What are you doing different?" And she said, "CBD, this stuff that Gary gave me." And so her oncologist knew me and knew what I was doing. So, okay, that makes sense. She went back about a month ago again, and now she's dropped another 10 points. So she's a solid 35 points below the 50 points she was before, and they used to just kind of watch it climb up. So I'm not saying that this cures cancer by any means. I'm not saying it cures or treats any medical illness, but I am saying with the hemostasis effect that we get of the cannabinoids, which if you go out online and look, there's over 100 million articles on CBD and about 500,000 articles on endocannabinoid. I mean, you can read about this stuff all night long. But anyway, reduces nausea and vomiting. I've seen patients like that. Relieves anxiety. That is a huge one. I have a patient that's been on high-dose narcotics for rods and screws in his back. He was in a bad accident when he was young. Had him on every narcotic known to man. He came to me one day after being treated with this for about a month and said, "I'm off my narcotics." I'm like, "You got to be kidding me." This is kind of like Preston again, right? You got to be kidding me. I mean, we're not surprised anymore what we hear, but we're still surprised because I'm in the infancy, 6 months using this. And he said, "Yeah, doc." He said, "I still have pain." He said, "But my anxiety is so much better surrounding taking my pills and getting rid of my pain and my actual anxiety of my pain." He said, "I don't need my narcotics." I mean, that was a very interesting. I've been doing pain medicine for almost 30 years. And to stand up, shake his hand and say, "Come back and see me if you need me," that doesn't happen very often. So, but anyway, you can look at some other stuff. Suppresses muscle spasms. I had people restless leg syndrome at nighttime, legs stop moving, sleeping better, taking less Motrin, taking less narcotics, you name it. We're starting to see a lot more too, and I'm treating pretty much everybody I touch anymore, giving them the option to be treated if they want to. So the history research, this gentleman here out of Israel did a lot of research on this, discovered THC, that's tetrahydroxycannabidiol. That is the part of the marijuana plant, the female part especially, makes more than the hemp male plant. And that is the part that has the psychoactive effect, has problems in society, legally, et cetera. The endocannabinoid was not seen until 1992, and now there's a lot of papers published. A lot of research has been out of Israel. We don't have any good double-blind, placebo-controlled, multi-center trials because, again, of the marijuana plant that is in Indiana, Schedule I drug, which means it has no medicinal value. I hope that gets corrected real soon, personally. So how does this all work? So just as we have the dopamine system, the serotonin system, the norepinephrine system, you name it in our body, we have the endocannabinoid system. It's the largest transmitter system in the body. It helps to balance all the other ones. Maintaining homeostasis, which is balancing act in your body. In fact, I had one scientist say it was kind of like the maestro of the orchestra, where he makes sure the music sounds good by making sure the drums are high when they should be, and the flutes and the wind instruments are high when they need to be and not be. So it's the balancing system. All vertebrates have it, 600 million years old. Next slide. Some of the science. Regulates, balances nerve. Come back here. Regulates and balances nerve function. Here we see the neurotransmitters, the presynaptic, postsynaptic, which I'm studying for my pain boards. I'm taking for the third time in April. Third time in 30 years, not third time because I couldn't pass it. But, and I'm learning all about pre-synaptic and post-synaptic more than I ever want to know. Not that I need to know every day to take care of my patients, but anyway, I won't go down that route. So movement coordination, immune system inflammation, energy intake and storage, cell life, and cycles, and apoptosis, which apoptosis is getting rid of the bad cells when they need to be gotten rid of, which is probably why cancers develop in patients, because the bad cells are not gotten rid of. Reproduction, circulatory system, bone development. Again, the snake oil, we call it, because I call it that. A lot of people do. You think, oh my God, this can't affect everything. Sure it can. It's because we have CB1 receptors on our brain and spinal cord, and we have CB2 receptors on every cell in our body and our immune system. And it's a pretty simple system if you look at it. Endocannabinoid receptors, again, there's two different types. And then we have two endocannabinoids that we make, which are the anandamide and the 2-AG. And then we have one enzyme that breaks them all down. It's the fatty acid amide hydrolase. We believe that in the problem with people who have problems with their endocannabinoid system, their FAAH may be too overactive and break down their own endocannabinoids too much. And we believe that the hemp oil that we have, the hemp extract that we have, probably slows that process down. Okay, so here we go. The CB1's brain spinal cord, CB2's throughout our immune system. This GPR55 linked to bone development and cancer cell proliferation, again, blocking that. A lot of these other receptor and endocrine systems are what we need to balance out our system as a whole. And again, the endocannabinoids are a big process of that. The other way we think it may work is not by just blocking the FAAH, but also it fits into our receptor some. You can see where the CBD fits on the cannabinoid receptor, the opioid receptor, dopamine, and serotonin. So this is direct interaction with the CBD with these neurotransmitter interfaces. And you can see below those have the side effects of THC, anxiety. Problem with THC, once it gets onto that receptor, it stays there for a long time. That relates to some of the problems we see with THC. One of the big things in Indiana, they do not want to see medical marijuana brought forward because they're afraid that it will bring on the more illicit use of marijuana like we see in Colorado and California. And myself and Dr. Andrea and Dr. Weidenbender all went up to talk to the Attorney General, and Andrea actually went before the Senate, which was pretty cool, and educated all those folks. That's what's made these laws a lot more improved and more direct as to what we're trying to do with the CBD. But when they found out that we knew that we had a product that worked in patients number one and was not THC, they were pretty excited to hear about that. Because Indiana is going to be the test state to show that you don't need THC in order to get benefit from the hemp extract or the part of the marijuana plant. Yet everybody in the audience has to understand, we're not talking about marijuana. We're talking about hemp, which is part of the cannabis sativa, which is the marijuana plant, but the hemp is the male part that has very little THC to begin with. So people get confused. Oh, you're giving everybody marijuana. No, I'm giving them hemp, which is in that family of marijuana, but it is totally different, as I'm trying to explain here. So our endogenous cannabinoids are the anandamide and the 2-AG, as I explained. We only make two. And the anandamide has to do with pleasure, food intake, reproduction, sleep, pain relief. And a deficiency increases anxiety and stress. And I can't get this thing to, there it comes. Now it'll probably keep going. Okay, part of the bridge between mind and body, released during ovulation. There, it went crazy. I knew it was going to do that. Let me back up a little bit. It's messing with me, Preston.
All right. Get it okay?
I'll get back. There we go. The slide don't want to come out for some reason. So decreases anxiety and stress, bridge between mind and body, ovulation, it's in chocolate, oxytocin. A lot of, as Dr. Andy would say, it's the part of our body that is not our fight or flight. So if there's a lion chasing you, you can't really quote scripture or write a poem at that point. So we have two different parts of our body. One's our sympathetic nervous system, one's our parasympathetic nervous system. And unfortunately, most people like myself that are running from end to end their day are in a sympathetic overdrive, which gives us headaches and anxiety and stresses us out and probably chews up our anandamide and our 2-HG and the cannabinoids. And when I take them, it actually relaxes me and calms me down a little bit. My nurses would probably differ with that, but I feel it myself, whether they see it or not, I can't say. The 2-AG functions, regulates the immune system, suppresses inflammation, neuroprotective, release when tissues are injured, regulates energy balance. Suppresses seizures. In fact, this CBD was started for kids that have seizures, and that was where it was first legalized in the state of Indiana until we got to them and told them all the other benefits that we had from it, seeing it work directly in patients. And here you can read about some of the other things that the 2-AG functions as. This gentleman here, Ethan Russo, has been working on the endocannabinoid system for many years. He was the one that originally did the research back in 1992. And in 2004, he found that we have an endocannabinoid deficiency, clinical endocannabinoid deficiency syndrome. And a lot of the problems that we have, like fibromyalgia, irritable bowel syndrome, treatment-resistant depression, anxiety, migraine, headaches, some of these, for the physicians in the audience, look at these and go, I got a patient in my office today who has all those problems. What am I going to do? I was the same way for many years. Now I'm kind of excited because I want to try the hemp oil extract in them to see if I can get it to work. And a lot of them, it does work in some form or fashion. And while I'm on that topic, about 80% of folks get some kind of relief that we give it to, which is pretty amazing. I saw an ad for a drug the other day on TV, and they were touting 32% relief or 32% cess. It's pretty sad, really. I wouldn't go to Vegas on those odds, but you know, and when I say 80%, I see people sleep better, less anxiety, can wean narcotics, just feel better overall. And I'm going to go over some of those antidotes here in a minute. So this is where I talked about earlier, the enzyme that breaks down anandamide, the FAAH, might be overzealous and work too fast, and the CBD helps block that. If the anandamide's too low, we see neuropathic pain, Alzheimer's disease, and then blocking the FAAH, which we talked about earlier. Here's a schematic of what probably happens. The guy, when I did the newspaper article, he wanted to see something, and this is what we gave him so he could explain it out in a schematic fashion. And here we see this CBD blocking the FAAH. I'm going to go through some articles real quick. This one's in here basically to show that, you know, the products that we have, and Preston's going to talk about them, we got very low milligram dosing, 13.3 milligrams in one bottle per cc and 16.7. And you can see here where 1,500 milligrams per day of CBD have been used and tolerated. You know, it's something that our body is hardwired for. It's a natural, it's a supplement. A lot of my patients here in Bloomington, they just get really excited when they find that there's something else they could use, that they don't have to use the conventional chemistry lab type products that we have that control pain. CBD reduces microphiles. I'm going to kind of go through this pretty quick. We've kind of gotten involved with the gastroenterologists in town that have problems with irritable bowel, can't do much about it. Give them this, their guts calm down. In fact, I gave a patient to one day for his peripheral neuropathy, and he came back and he said, my feet feel a little better, but my bowels are 100% better. Instead of having 10 bowel movements a day, I'm only having one bowel movement now. We found that it can be a balancing the homeostasis effect. They took rats and induced heart attacks in them, and the ones who were on CBD for a few weeks actually had 60% less of an infarct size. It's probably because of the anti-inflammatory effect, the neuroprotective effect. You know, a lot of times when things go bad in our body, our immune system comes on and takes control of it, and the immune system actually damages things more than the actual event does. And the CBD can help calm that immune system and balance it out. There's just a little bit more of different types of receptors and how they work in our body and how this relates to them. Basically, the reason these slides are in here is from a standpoint to show you that there is research that's done. It might not be the research all of us would like to see, but I think we can get to that now that the laws have lightened up on CBD and THC. Here's an interesting slide that shows THC is not good. And I agree with the folks in our Senate and Congress that medical marijuana, I don't think is necessary. And I think THC is very bad. If you look at what THC and smoking does to our body, it's worse than cigarettes. THC in young brains, the kids that really want to smoke this, show functional MRIs of their brain to be markedly reduced, and there's studies showing that. Also, we've seen an emergence of schizophrenia later in age. Schizophrenia is usually a problem if you have a propensity to have it in your 20s. We're seeing it develop in 30s and 40s, and if you look at the history, they've smoked a lot of marijuana. So, and that's the THC that's changing the brain chemistry. So I don't like THC. I don't think it's good. I don't want my children or grandchildren or great-grandchildren saying grandpa or great-grandpa or whoever the heck he was prescribed this for his patients, so it's got to be good for us. So I think the fact that we're getting the goods out of the marijuana and leaving the bads behind is a very good thing. In my practice, if I need to prescribe some Marinol, I prescribe it and I'll combine the two together. But it's not smoking it, and it's not 15-year-olds ingesting it or 12-year-olds ingesting it. Another study here showing it can reduce blood pressure. 6 millimeters of mercury is not much in most of my patients because they're all hypertensive and steroids make them worse, which would give lots of people steroids. Did have one woman, this did apply to a woman of mine, though she was kind of small, she had a low blood pressure. She took a full dose of the CBD, got in a hot shower, passed out, hit her head, and ended up in the emergency room. So if any of you guys out there are giving this to people who might have a tendency to have low blood pressure, tell them to be smart about it. If they take it, get a little dizzy, lay down, and then maybe back off on the dose. Okay, so when you're looking for, okay, let me back up. When you're looking, say you go down to Lucky's or you go to Fresh Time or whatever your pharmacies in town that might have some CBD, and you got a aisle that's about a half mile long, you got all these products, which one do you get? You need to look for the hemp oil that is water soluble, as most of them are not. In fact, a lot of them are junk on the shelf. They did some studies on some of them, and some of the stuff coming out of Colorado, they take some twigs and some seeds and they throw it in a jar, put some water in it, say it's CBD, and sell it for $50. And we found out there's nothing in it. There's no vetting of it. The FDA is not involved. So unfortunately, you know, there's stuff on the market that just doesn't work. And I've seen this in a lot of my patients. They come in and say, I'm using CBD. Everybody says it works. It doesn't work. I get a mine, it works. Why? Because what I'm using is 85% absorbable. It's in a micellized/liposomal hemp oil. So what the scientists have done is they took the lipophilic, which is the oil and water done mix. They stuck that on the inside by hitting these cells with high ultrasound and turned the molecule inside on itself. So we have a water layer on the outside and a fat soluble layer on the inside. And when you put this in people's mouth, it goes down their GI tract. It absorbs very rapidly. In fact, I've seen headaches in my office start to go away within a minute or two, 5 minutes. We put it under a tongue and we leave it there. Hemp is very expensive. That's why low doses like we use, the 13.3 or the 16.7 milligrams per cc is hardly anything. But it's not about how much is in the bottle. It's about how well it absorbs. Legal in 50 states. This one's been up in the air in Indiana for a while, but we're going to lay that to rest here real soon. We already have really in Indiana, and definitely 2018. We're going to look at that in the rear view mirror, which is a good thing. Got a very fast onset. What we have, like I said, absorbs and comes on very rapidly. So patients will come to me all the time and say, Doc, what should I use? 250 milligrams, 500 milligrams, 1,000 milligrams? I'm like, throw that crap away. You need to use 13.3 or 16.7 because it doesn't matter how much is in the bottle. It matters how you absorb it. So that's the most important thing. And that's how we can make it very affordable for all of our patients. Full spectrum hemp oil. This is another thing that's very important. You know, some of the drug industries are coming out making isolates of CBD. It'll be one CBD. They're never going to be as good a products of what we have because the stuff we have comes directly from God's plant, which is the hemp plant, where it's full spectrum. You got 5 CBDs and you got flavonoids and you got antioxidants, terpenes. So it's a full spectrum hemp oil. And I think the terpenes, which I'll explain what those are here in a second, might have sometimes more of an effect than the CBDs. So as a superfood, as the vitamins, minerals, all things are in it, you can't beat what we got in a little bottle. In fact, that little bottle you'll see has about 400 different active compounds in it that are good for our body. What are the terpenes coming up? Maybe. Terpenes are what make everything smell. So you guys have heard of all the aromatherapy that's going on. I use lavender. I go to sleep a lot easier. I use pine and I wake up better. I use lemon, blah, 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 whatever it is. So this slide's kind of hard to see. It does explain a bunch of the different terpenes. And reason we show this is the synergy between the CBD and the terpene and how they work together. And you're not going to get a drug company to put all these things together like come out of nature. So CBD probably will be patented, if not soon, when somebody makes a molecule of it, but it's never going to have the good stuff in it like the product we does have. And that's it. One thing I want to go through real quick, just a litany of different information that my patients have given me, and then I'll tell you what this all means. So wonderful. Pain decreased 60%, all body. Neck better, spasms better, back to work. Legs, I can stand on them during the day. Slept 7 hours, usually 4. No pain washing dishes. Help with seizures. Migraines gone. Frog drops 2 times a day. More energy, alive, have hope, decreased pain. Went skiing, first time in 5 years. Resting, sleeping better, more energy in the day. 2 drops, 2 times a day. My sinuses are relieved. I wake up breathing nicely. No headaches, anxiety better, sleep better, back pain gone, sleep better, pain better. Not clenching my teeth at night, decreased jaw pain, sleep better, feel better, fabulous. No leg cramps at night, off Motrin for feet pain, sleep better, better off as Xanax. No cramps at night, no Flexeril. Spine relief, helping me to stop smoking. We didn't talk about how it can help with addictions, but it can. And it's probably the anxiety around the addictions that probably helps the most. Fabulous. Making everything better. Slept 6 hours, first time in years. Decreased seizures 2 times a week. I was having them 2 times. I was having them 2 times a week. Now I have them 2 times in a month. Fabulous. 10 to 12 drops twice a day. Feel great. Arthritis, right shoulder gone. Knee pain gone. Move my hands better. And last but not least, my family says I'm nicer. Probably because decreased anxiety around his pain. So that's it. I'm going to turn it back over to Preston. He's going to tell you more about the company. Thanks for listening, everybody. And I'll be glad to help anybody at any time. Most people know how to get a hold of me online. And whoever invited you here can definitely get a hold of me. They know how to get a hold of me. So thank you, Preston.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Dr. Gettelfinger. I appreciate you just getting really in depth with the science and also sharing, the real world experience with your patients. I don't know anybody that's with Celise that has more experience than you. And, like you've told me before, it really just gives you another tool in your tool belt because people want to get off narcotics. We have this opioid crisis that was caused for a lot of reasons. I think we all know what they were caused by, but, we need to change that. And so it just gives you another tool because people are looking for this, Guys, I think, as healthcare providers, which I think most of you on the call are, I believe we have this huge platform where we can change lives because what we're doing is educating not only healthcare providers like doing this webinar, but the public. You guys, what I've found and what people find is people are looking for this. They really want an alternative for a quality of life. And so what we're finding, like Dr. Gettelfinger said, his patients are buying this anyways. And so they're going to buy a lot of really bad products out there. Guys, some of the stuff's coming from China. Some of it, there's not even CBD in it. There's herbicides, pesticides, chemically extracted, some really, really bad things out there. And so what we're excited about and what we've seen is this is really the gold standard of hemp CBD oil. We're not interested in giving, patients terrible products. So it's really the gold standard. I'll talk a little bit of it's actually clinically researched by Celise itself, by Dr. De Silva, who I'll touch on in a minute. And, like I said, we can really give them a product that they're looking for anyways. And so you guys, I believe that really everything happens for a reason. I believe Celise was put in my path because I truly have a heart to help people. And I didn't feel like I was helping people anymore. I didn't feel like I was helping patients in the ER anymore, you guys. Like I said, doing it for 20 years. And I really found it here was Celise. I honestly feel like I'm changing more lives sharing hemp CBD and Celise with people than when I was going to work day after day after day in the ER. And so I actually retired, you guys, January 17th from my 20-year career because I feel like this is my passion, and I feel like I'm truly changing more lives by sharing Celise and hemp CBD with everybody. And so just like this webinar, you guys are going to be educated. You're going to know more than most healthcare providers out there, I guarantee you. And you're going to be able to take that knowledge and use the platform that we have to really help people. And so I'm excited about that. I'm passionate about that. That's why we put this webinar together. And, what we're seeing is healthcare providers that come on and are using this in their practice. I really think they become more reinvigorated by helping people. So again, I'm passionate about this, and thanks for getting on. We're going to, guys, touch on this company that Zalise, I got involved with about 15 months ago. This was before the hemp CBD oil. And like I said, I believe this path was put in front of me for a reason. And so we're going to touch on this briefly and talk about this amazing company and also some of the products that they have. And then also there's an opportunity, you guys. So the company's name is Zalise, and it's called the Pay It Forward Company. And it's actually 2 words in Swahili, which means to multiply nutrition. And we'll touch on that a little bit. So the company, it was founded in 2015 by Stephen and Angie Thompson, and they've been in the industry, the health and wellness industry, for 20 years, have been very, very successful, have built teams of over 250,000 around the globe in over 40 countries. So absolute experts. Guys, the company grew 700% last year. But here's what I want you to focus on too is Dr. Derek De Silva. If you see him on your screen, you guys, Dr. Derek De Silva is the founding president of the American Nutraceutical Association. What I love about Dr. De Silva, and guys, I would challenge you to Google this man. He really teaches about health. I never met a physician in 20 years that incorporated Western medicine and Eastern medicine so perfectly. I believe we need both. My son's currently finishing antibiotics once again for pneumonia. We need both, but we also need Eastern medicine as well. He also chairs AgeMed. So that's a consortium of really anti-aging physicians. He teaches physicians around the world, and he's a practicing physician of over 30 years. So again, Google him, tremendous physician, just a leader. But he is the chief medical officer. What does that mean? That means I'm not picking the hemp CBD product. It's not Dr. Gettelfinger. It's Dr. De Silva, who's a CBD expert. He brings everything that Zalise has to offer. And so I love that about him. Guys, here's the story of Zalise. The company really took my heart away about 15 months ago. So Stephen Thompson, the CEO and owner, was in South America, actually with Dr. De Silva. He was opening up a new market there with another health and wellness company. And he decided to fly to Haiti to visit a friend of his that was running a charitable organization there. You guys, that trip absolutely changed his life. And here's the reason why. He saw malnutrition up close and personal. And what he discovered was malnutrition wasn't those kids on late night TVs with the big bloated bellies. It's what they call the silent hunger. It's the kids, basically, they can look completely healthy on the outside and be completely malnourished on the inside. And what he also learned was there's a critical age between 6 months of age and 5 years of age that if malnutrition is not reversed, guys, it's permanent. You're talking blindness, deafness, learning disabilities, paralysis, anemia, stunted growth, and much, much more for the rest of their life. You guys, Haitians have food, but they don't have the micronutrients. They don't have the nutrition in the food. So what Stephen Thompson also learned was there was a nutritional formula that had been created that had been clinically proven to stop malnutrition in just 60 days. So his idea was this. He's been in health and wellness for almost 20 years, been very successful, but he wanted to make a significance, not just success. His idea was this. What if he could create a company that could supply health to all of their family's needs, at the same time, though, automatically pay it forward to these children in Haiti to end malnutrition? Guys, that's what Zalise is doing. Every bottle of hemp CBD oil actually supplies over 60 days of nutrition to these children in Haiti. And I love that. It's automatically done. It's paid forward as you're getting your health back, as you're sharing it with your patients. We are truly ending malnutrition. It's not a theory, it's a fact. Zalise delivered over 10 million daily servings last year alone. And we just partnered with a company called Vitamin Angels. If you guys don't know this company, Google them, but they supply prenatal vitamins to pregnant women all around the world. And I didn't even know this. Did you know it literally takes 2 doses of vitamin A to prevent blindness? Guys, there's children all over the world that are being born blind because they don't have 2 doses of vitamin A. So we partner with them and actually delivered 5 million daily servings to them just 2 weeks ago, and we're going to continue to do that. So I love that this company has a purpose, and we're paying it forward to end malnutrition and help pregnant women all around the world. Guys, 1 second, I'm going to kind of mute everybody. 1 second here, getting some feedback, and there we go. All right, so the industry. So what's the industry we're in? Basically, this is really the CBD industry. And Forbes magazine, Time, Wall Street Journal, Fortune, Newsweek, all the top financial publications have projected this industry to grow 700% in just the next 2 years. Guys, 700% in 2 years, not 10 years, not 20 years, but the next 2 years. That's the industry, that CBD, that's what we're in. And so an amazing, amazing growth is projected. The science, I won't touch on this. Dr. Gettelfinger did that amazing job, but quite simply, this is what I tell people. You know, we have this endocannabinoid system that regulates homeostasis, which is balance in your body, and it really communicates to every major body system. And again, I won't dive into that, but that's really, truly how it works. Guys, our bodies were designed to heal themselves, and this really lets your body heal itself. So I love that. So the brand, Dr. Gettelfinger touched on this briefly, but we have hemp CBD, okay? But some people, maybe they have an allergy to hemp products. So we just launched a couple of weeks ago some hemp-free products, and I'm going to use a term, it's called cannabinoid. So what that means is these products enhance that endocannabinoid system that we were talking about. Again, they're not hemp, but they're called cannabinoids. So they enhance that endocannabinoid system. So there's really a base. It's really botanicals, okay? But the base is green tea, hops flower, echinacea, turmeric, ginger. And then there's some other ones that are more focused for like ultra edge. It helps people with energy. I used to be one of those guys that literally don't talk to me till I've had 2 cups of coffee until I wake up. So since I've started the Edge 2 weeks ago, I've gotten off coffee. So for people who maybe don't want to drink coffee, it's an amazing, it really gives you cognitive focus and gives you energy. The Ultra Ice is really more designed for an anti-inflammatory product. And the Ultra Dream is really designed of someone who really has trouble sleeping. So again, botanicals, they're not CBD, but they enhance that endocannabinoid system. And they're really focused, one's for sleep, one's for energy, and one's for inflammation. And proprietary technology, I think Dr. Gettelfinger may have touched on this as well, is why do these products work so well? Guys, we're not interested in being just like I said, every other CBD product out there. Basically we have two ways that enhance the product. So as Dr. Gettelfinger touched, CBD is an oil, and when you take an oil in your body, you only absorb about 6%. And these technologies that the Ultra brands have made that oil water soluble. So we get actually clinically proven, and I'll show you a slide here in a minute, up to 94% absorption. So do you want 6% or 94%? Well, that's what we're getting. So that's the biggest difference. It's that water soluble technology. The other thing is the full spectrum hemp CBD oil. It's not just a CBD isolate. There's actually 400 other active compounds in it besides CBD that work together on the body to give it all its beneficial effects. So guys, that's absolutely huge. It's not a CBD isolate. It is a full spectrum hemp CBD oil, not just CBD, and it's water soluble. It's made water soluble, so that's why it works so well in the body. So absolutely superior formulation. And again, we're really set out to be the gold standard. The technology, we kind of touch on that, but it's really exclusive to Zalise. Guys, what this charts show is Dr. De Silva actually did an independent clinical study that showed this. Rapid absorption. So they drew patients' blood before giving the ultracell, and then you can see peak onset was about 45 minutes to an hour. But here's the cool part. Sustained absorption past 12 hours. I had someone ask me recently, hey, would you compare this product, and it was touted as an amazing hemp CBD product. Would you compare this one to Ultracell? I said, sure. And this company, they actually did a study on it, and I was blown away. Here's what it showed. It showed rapid onset of their product, but literally in 3 hours, that thing was plummeting down. It was going down in 3 hours. Ours isn't doing that. And then we have clinical data to prove that. And Dr. De Silva is going to continue to do that. So again, rapid onset, but also sustained absorption, which allows people to use actually less over time. It's bioavailable, like I said, for 12 hours. Guys, there's nothing like it. So when we say the gold standard, why is it helping Dr. Gettelfinger's patients so much? Here's why. The rapid absorption, sustained absorption, and the clinical data to prove that. Guys, Dr. De Silva is big on two things. He's big on research, but he's also big on technology. So I love that we get to stand behind that. So there's actually a career path, guys, with this company. And this career path, fortunately, has allowed me to walk away from my 20-year career because there's actually different ways you get paid. There's actually 7 different ways you get paid. Most people get paid one way, right? They clock in and out. That's what I did for 20 years. So I love that there's actually 7 different ways to get paid. Set your own hours, work from home, no boss, no employees. You don't have the overhead of a traditional business with absolutely unlimited potential. Guys, we're not going to get into all these ways tonight just for time's sake, but I would just tell you there's 7 different ways to earn some income if you're interested in that. And so I love that we get to share this with others. They also have what's called a benefits program. This is amazing. So I love that if you share Zalease just with 4 people, Zalease is going to give you something called a blessing bonus. It starts out at $100 a month on up to $500 a month, where Zalease will give you, but with one stipulation. Guys, you cannot keep it. You have to go out and bless somebody. It could be a stranger on the street. It could be your church, your favorite charity, a single mom. It doesn't matter, but you cannot keep it. So a quick story. I was at Benihana with my family and some close friends, and we had a great time with the Benihana cook. And the guy was a young man, had some young kids at home, just had a wonderful time. And one of my sons, Evan, was on the other side of the table, and he walked over to me and he said, "Hey, Dad, why don't we give the cook our blessing bonus?" And I said, "Evan, that's a great idea." And he said, "Go ahead, Dad, give it to him." And I said, "No, Evan, you give it to him." So I gave Evan our blessing bonus for that month. And I'll never forget this. I watched my son stand up at the table. When the cook was done, he said to him, "You blessed us here tonight, and we want to bless you." And I watched my 14-year-old son give this man our blessing bonus. Guys, I'll never forget that. When you get to bless others, it changes who you are. So I love that we get to bless others while we're giving people their lives back with this product. So again, that's just one of the blessing bonuses I've given away, but I'll never forget watching my son do that. And so guys, as you share Zalease with others, teach those to share with others. We have what's called a Jeep program. You can get between $400 a month to $1,200 a month, where Zalease will pay you to drive a Jeep. So I actually have a Jeep Wrangler that I don't have to pay for. And so as that duplicates down again, you guys, we have healthcare. This is very, very unusual. It starts out at $500 a month on up to $1,500 a month that Zalease will pay you for healthcare. As that duplicates down again, you guys, we have what's called the global pool. That's where 2% of everything that's sold with Zalease goes into a pool. And as you had leadership rank, it's called regional ambassador and above, you get to share in that pool. Guys, that's basically retirement. So I'll share you what happened to me. My wife came to me 10 months into sharing Zalease with others. And she said to me at lunch one day, she said, "Preston, why don't you quit your job?" And I said, "What did you say?" I made her repeat. I couldn't believe what she said. She said, "Why don't you quit your job?" She said, "You're grouchy and miserable every time you have to go to work." And you guys, I worked nights, weekends, and holidays for 20 years. She was right. She said, basically we looked at it. She said, "You're making more than you're making at the hospital. We're blessing others. You're getting a Jeep paid for. Now we're getting healthcare paid for, and basically the global pool, which is basically retirement." Guys, I love that it gave me a choice to walk away. Why do people stay at their jobs? Those golden handcuffs, right? We hear it every single day. The benefits. I hate my job, but it's the benefits. That's why they stay there. We hear it every single day. So I love that it gave me a choice. Some people may love their job and want to stay there, but it gives people a choice whether they want to maybe pursue this full time or not. And I took that choice, and I'm so glad that I did. timing and positioning, guys, from a perspective of timing and positioning. Here's what this graph shows. Here's where we are with Zalise. You can see to the left of that line, we are in something called concentration. What that means is nobody knows about Zalise, you guys. Nobody can even pronounce the name. They say, what's that Xylus company that you have on your Jeep? Well, here's where we are. We're going to go into something called momentum. In the next 12 to 24 months, we're predicting that. And then go through something called stabilization. Every company, every business goes through this. When a company goes through momentum and stabilization, 90% of the wealth that's generated is going to get paid out to the people who got involved to the left of that line. People say, oh, it's the people at the top that make all the money. No, it's not. Actually, I worked in that for 20 years where the CEO at the top made all the money, made all the decisions that affected my job. And he would make decisions that we would say, don't do that. It's terrible. It's going to be terrible for patient care. And you know what they would do? They would implement it anyways. I can never make more than the people above me. Guys, it's not the people at the top. It's the ones at the bottom, the ones who get involved in the ground floor, the ones who are the pioneers that go out and share Zalise with others and get people on the hemp CBD product that they're already looking for. So it's the people at the bottom. And that's where we are with this timing and positioning. So I love that. It's very, very early, you guys. So I'll kind of end it with this. I want to thank Dr. Gary Gettelfinger for taking the time tonight to educate all of us on this line. I know there's a lot of healthcare providers out here. What you learned in the last 20, 30 minutes, you're going to know more than most physicians out there. Because why? We're not taught this in Western medicine, right? They didn't teach us this in school. But we are on a movement where people are looking for a change. They're buying something like this anyways. And so I really, truly believe in my heart, as healthcare providers, we have a tremendous platform where we get to go help people every single day. But there's even more of a platform here where we can give someone an alternative, this hemp CBD product that they're looking for anyways, to change lives. And when I say literally, I'm seeing lives every change with this product, guys, not just my mom. And I'll just say this, it's not going to cure my mom. It's not going to cure, her Alzheimer's. I know that. But when you can give someone a quality of life, literally sometimes within a day, that's all we're looking for. That's all I want. That's all people want. So we're looking to give people their life back. I had a lady the other day said, this is giving me my life back. And we are hearing this every single day. So guys, if there's something here tonight that interests you, get back with the person who invited you. We would love to help you learn more, to get you more information. That's why we do this webinar, to get you more information. So we're just excited to share this, share our experience, my experience with my personal life as well as my professional life, and Dr. Gettelfinger in his professional life and personal life, what he has seen. And so we're just passionate about it. And just get back with the person who invited you and see if there's more information you need or a way even to get involved. We would love to help you and share with you. You don't do this alone. We do this as a team. So guys, we're just excited to change lives. So thanks for getting on this webinar tonight. I think we're going to wrap it up here due to time's sake. But again, if you got questions, get back with the person who invited you, and we would love to just share it with you. So thanks, everybody. Have a great night.